It was around 500 years before Christ, when the world's deadliest whale in history sank dozens of ships off the coastline of Constantinople. The Emperor Justinian declared war on the massive beast. After almost 60-foot Leviathan sent its first victim to a watery grave, the survivors told a story that struck fear into the locals' hearts. Nobody knew for sure, but the colossal sea monster that would later be called Porphyrios was thought to be a toothed whale specimen, most likely a sperm whale. This aggressive specimen of whale wasn't native to the area, so when it made the Bosphorus Strait its hunting grounds, it made the Leviathan's legacy even more of a mystery. This creature was a thing of nightmares as captain and merchants alike made their way through the strait, just hoping they wouldn't have a run-in with the terrifying beast. There was no rhyme or reason as to what victims it chose. All of a sudden, the deep blue waters would begin to bubble as the beast emerged from the foam. Then, bursting at speeds of up to 25 miles an hour, he would use the crown of his beak to ram the hull. As the 50-ton beast made contact, it would shake the entire ship, oftentimes knocking the crew off their feet. Depending on the size of the vessel, it would begin to take on water, but if it didn't finish the job after the first round, it would about face and come back for more. Witnesses stated that it would bob in and out of the water, opening and closing its massive jaw, taunting the victims. It was at this point they knew their fate to come. Some of them would start bailing off the ship, others would hop into the rowboat just praying that he wouldn't come back for more. His reigns of terror were known to last up to a decade before he'd disappear for a short period of time. This caused the locals to breathe a sigh of relief, but just as they'd get comfortable, he'd show up again and sink another. The Emperor Justinian would employ the best to hunt down the creature, but to no avail. Nobody could figure out how to kill the massive beast. For over 50 years, he would lay waste to dozens of ships. Many accounts stated that his number was up in the 100s. Some of the ship's captains were so terrified of an encounter with Porphyrios that they would sail all the way around the Mediterranean to avoid using the straits. But one day, this all changed when the Leviathan's reign of terror would come to an end. And not by any ship, there was no hero in this story. The beast would come to an early grave by his own hand. It was a sunny afternoon near the mouth of the Black Sea when Porphyrios came upon a pod of dolphins and gave chase. He quickly grabbed 2 or 3 of them with his massive jaws and consumed them very quickly. But he must have been extra hungry because he continued after the pod. Once again, he was successful. He consumed 3 more dolphins and finally had gotten his fill. But as he was on his relentless pursuit of food, he made a serious mistake. He chased the dolphins too far inland, and by the time he realized it, it was too late. He tried with all his might to shake himself free, but it only buried him in the mud further. And that's when a local beachgoer noticed, and quickly word spread, that Porphyrios had beached himself. The people that he had rained terror upon for the last 50 years seized the opportunity, and they brought hatchets and began chopping at the beast. But he was so massive, this had little effect on him. As a result, they got large ropes, tied him up, and it took nearly half the townsfolk to heave the 100,000-pound beast to shore, where they proceeded to cut him up and divvy him out. Some of the people even ate him raw. As a result of this, it wasn't long before he'd succumb to his wounds, and there that day would end the legend of Porphyrios, the deadliest whale in Earth's history. In the end, nobody really understood why Porphyrios had such an aggression towards the ships in the straits, and exactly why that aggression was so fierce it lasted over 50 years. Some say it was because at this time, whaling started to become very mainstream, and people were doing it all over the world. So scholars speculate that maybe he had seen his family killed in front of him, or attacked by the ships. And though this is the first recorded account of sperm whales being this aggressive towards ships, it wouldn't be the last, as you know. In 1851, Herman Melville would write an epic tale known as Moby Dick, a book that's forever entrenched in history as one of the greatest of all time. But what many don't know is that Moby Dick was actually written based on true events. This notoriously aggressive whale has written accounts from sailors, and the name of this whale was Mocha Dick. And that's because this massive bull whale was first spotted and attacked off an island known as Mocha Island, just off the coast of South America. And what's even more baffling about this whale was that he was albino. From his first sinking ship to his last, Mocha Dick had more than 19 harpoons stuck in him, and attached to these harpoons was over 200 feet of rope that towed behind him as he swam through the deep blue depths. According to records, he'd lay waste to over 14 different vessels, and unalive, over 30 men. There's record of him being encountered in every ocean, in every feeding ground across the globe. The renowned sea monster would claim victory in hundreds of fights, and he was known for his angry pursuit of the people that ran away. And though it's very rare for barnacles to attach to sperm whales, his flukes were covered in them. And when he'd surface to spray water out of his spout, rather than go straight up like most sperm whales, it would go straight out, and it would sound more like a gurgling, growling. This Leviathan would go down in history as the most fearsome whale of all time. And in the end, he was never captured or killed. Nobody really knows what happened to the legendary Moby Dick. And the last account I'm going to talk about where a sperm whale attacks humans is the notorious attack on the Essex. It left the docks from Nantucket on August 12, 1819, and was taking a cruise in the Pacific Ocean. And it was on November 20th, 1819, where they came upon a group of sperm whales. So they lowered their sails and began pursuit. One of the three boats quickly harpooned a whale, but no sooner did its tail blast a hole in the hull. As a result, they had to cut the line and break free from it. But in the meantime, the other two small whaling boats had harpooned a couple. But as the captain was getting ready to help the other two boats, he noticed something blasting out of the water. It was a large bull sperm whale. He didn't look too happy. The beast disappeared, but then came up again. But this time, he was only a ship's length away. It was evident that he was headed right for him, and he was furious. The head of the ship had just barked an order to his first mate, when all of a sudden, boom! The whale made contact, and you could see the ship exit the water and fall back in trembling. The whale passed under the vessel, scraping the keel with its tail. It lay in the water, stunned for a brief moment. As the vessel began to settle, the whale gathered his bearings. He was now 100 yards away from the ship. They could see his tail thrashing about in the water and his mouth opening and closing in a threatening manner, getting ready to attack. The captain of the ship was barking orders when suddenly one of the crew members yells, "He's making for us again, Captain!" He looks over and nothing but white foam followed its thrashing tail. It was traveling at double the rate of speed and coming at the ship like a torpedo. And when it made contact, boom! It shook the whole ship, raising it out of the water. All the men on board except for the captain lost their footing. The whale swam away as if nothing happened, leaving the men to fend for themselves, thousands of miles into the Pacific Ocean with a ship that was gonna founder. The crew had nothing but the fragile and small whaling rowboat that they used outside of the ship. The crew would end up being at sea for over 4 months before they were picked up, and only 2 of them would survive. So there you have it, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. I kind of just wanted to lighten the mood a little bit with everything going on, and the content I previously posted a little more intense. So I kind of wanted to lighten the mood and tell you a good old story that I came across, and I just followed it and delved in and found a bunch of good stories. As I said, I just happened to stumble upon it on TikTok, the story, and it was really good about the deadliest whale in history, and I ran with it and ended up finding out some really cool stuff about sperm whales and their history of attacking ships. It's wild. They're a very aggressive species of whale, apparently. So I hope you enjoyed the stories. I loved them. Keep on watching. Keep on following. Stay tuned. Check out my merch, you guys. It's going to be slowly rolling out, but man, it is upgraded on 10. nightgod333.net. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all of them. And yeah, I love you guys. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, share, and we'll see you next time. I am out.